I had to do it, didn't I?
Every time. I'd be
Every
disappointed if
time.
you didn't.
It wouldn't be my show if I didn't do that.
That's right. That's your signature now. Yes, good
That's
job.
my signature, yes.
Hi, Kathy. How you doing?
Okay.
All right, everybody. So since Kathy's not going to let us listen to the music again, I guess I got to talk. So if you want to go ahead and put up my first slide there, Kathy, our thing today is going to be some quick and easy desserts that are easy on the fat. So there's going to be a little fruit pie, tart type thing, and some cookie dough. So if you want to move on to the next slide there, Kathy, just want to talk about something that we see on our nutrition labels a lot, and that would be the trans fats. So we see the fats when we're looking at a nutrition label. There will be like, the total fats, the saturated fats, and the trans fats. Well, trans fats, for the most part, are always going to say 0 because they more or less have been banned in the United States. But I always want to point out that there is still the potential for some to be there. So I've talked about it in the past, that saturated fats and unsaturated fats, the difference between those are the unsaturated fats are going to be your plant-based fats like avocado oil, corn oil, vegetable oil, canola oil. That's going to be your plant-based fats or unsaturated. And then the saturated fats are going to be like your animal. It's going to be your beef, your chicken, your pork. It's going to be fats that's coming from the meats that we eat. So that's the difference between those. Now, what is a trans fat? I never really knew until, probably I started this job, to be honest with you. The trans fat is a vegetable oil that has been processed by adding hydrogen. And the reason they do that is it increases the shelf life of the oil and the stability of the flavor of the foods they put it in. So it's going to make a longer shelf life and they use it a lot in like snack cakes and cookies and that type of stuff because it's going to be a good fat. It's a lightweight fat because it's a plant-based fat, but by processing it with the hydrogen, it makes it last longer, but it also turns it into something that, just like the saturated fats, will raise our cholesterol. So when they realized, that the FDA realized this is what was happening, they came and said, hey, we can't do this anymore because, it's bad for our health. So they did away with it for the most part, but there still can be, there are some naturally occurring trans fats in the animal-based fats that we consume, but then they can use some, and if you look on your ingredient panels on some of your foods, if you see the word hydrogenated or hydrologized, that type of stuff, that means there has still been some fats in there or something processed with hydrogen. So kind of steer away from those, and because even though it doesn't have enough in there that they have to claim it on the fats as far as the nutrition label, and I think it's like 0.5 grams and less is not something they have to report. If we're consuming a lot of these things, if you're eating, a snack cake one day and a fruit pie the next day and a handful of cookies the day after that, factor that in with what we're getting from the ones that are naturally occurring in some of the animal-based fat foods, we can be still getting quite a bit of trans fats in our diet. So watch out for those words. You see a hydrogen type word in the nutrient panel or the ingredient panel on your foods, kind of steer away from it. So what I'm going to do today, good timing, Kathy. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make up a couple little snacks that are going to be low in those fats, and it's going to be, hi there, it's going to be something, it's going to be good. Okay, so let's get started. The first one we're going to talk about is going to be, and the recipes will be in the chat box of the video here, and it's going to be a mini berry pie. And our ingredients for that are going to be some tortillas. It says whole wheat tortillas, but I couldn't find the right size tortillas. And what I wanted, it was 5 or 6 inch, and they didn't have them in the store, so I just got regular flour tortillas. Some sugar, some cinnamon, some frozen mixed berries, some sugar, and some cornstarch. That's all it's in these, okay? And then our second recipe today is going to be a chickpea cookie dough. Chickpeas, if you're not familiar, are garbanzo beans that you make hummus out of them a lot. They put them in a lot of different soups. They're just a bean. So we're going to use that for our basis for our cookie dough. And it's a can of chickpeas, drained, rinsed, and dried, which I've got already sitting over here or over there. And then it's half a cup of peanut butter, some honey, some vanilla, and some chocolate chips. So we're going to have our own cookie dough, and I love this stuff. It's really good. All right, so I'm going to start with the mini berry pies. Okay, so let me get you pointed down here so you can see what I'm doing. And as I was saying, I've got these 6-inch or maybe a little smaller flour tortillas. If you can find the whole wheat ones, that would be better because you're getting your whole grains in there. And these are what we're going to use for our crust for our pie. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in these muffin tins. And I have found by experience, if you just try to take this muffin tin and stick it, or this tortilla and stick it down this muffin tin, it's going to tear. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to make some small cuts, like 4 small cuts around this. And I'm going to do that for all 5 of these. And what that's going to do is it's going to let me kind of shape these tortillas into those muffin tins so they won't tear and get holes, because when you get a hole in the bottom of them, all your juice from your pie filling is going to run out. So you'll see why I'm doing that. Okay, so then I'm going to, okay, I got those ready. I'm going to mix up a little bit of sugar and cinnamon. And those are like my fancy sugar bowl there. And it calls for a teaspoon of sugar. This is a half teaspoon, so I'm going to put 2 of these in here. There's my sugar. And then I'm going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon in with that sugar. And I'm just going to mix that together. Just making good old cinnamon sugar, like we all used to like to put on to our toast in the morning. I remember that used to be one of my favorite memories in the morning when I was a kid. Mom would let us have cinnamon toast for breakfast every now and then. Okay, so I'm going to take my cooking spray, and I'm going to just lightly mist the top of this tortilla. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of my cinnamon and sugar around on top of this tortilla. And then I'm going to take it over here, and I'm going to fold these little flaps. So it's going to make like a cup, and it's going to slide right down inside of my muffin tin there without tearing it up. See how perfect that works? So I'm going to do that with the rest of them here. Just a little bit of the cinnamon sugar on top of there. And it's kind of like folding up a origami. You guys have ever done that with the paper crafts? I think Miss Liz might have done that in one of the crafting classes. And I'm just going to do this for all of the tortillas. And then I've got my oven preheated to 375 degrees. And I'm going to put these in the oven, and we're going to bake them up until they get nice and toasty and crunchy. And these are going to be what we're going to use for our crust, for our pie, like I said. So really super simple, super easy recipe. Really kind of fun to make. The kids will probably get into doing these. They would love cutting these up and making these little crusts like this. One more, and I'll have them all done. And I'm going to save this extra little bit of cinnamon sugar when I get these out of the oven, or get the filling in them after a bit. I'll sprinkle a little more of that cinnamon sugar on top of them. Okay, so there you can see I got all my crust down in there. I'm going to pop these in the oven and set my timer for about 8 minutes. And we're going to let those toast up a little bit. Now next I'm going to take, now I said for a 16-ounce bag or 2.5 cups of frozen berries, like mixed berries. Well, I always have berries that I put up every fall. And this is some of my homegrown strawberries and some blueberries I picked up somewhere. I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them in just a small saucepan. And I'm going to put this on the stove. And we're going to heat these up until they start, the juices start running out. And then I'm going to add in some, I'm going to go ahead and measure that out. I'm going to add in some of the cornstarch and sugar to make like, it's going to make like a glaze over top of the berries, okay? So I need 1.5 teaspoon, or 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, and this is just regular old cornstarch. It's one a little too deep there. Make sure you level off your spoonfuls there. And then 1.5, whoops, what am I doing? Another 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. And this will be the thickening to make the berries like have like a syrup on them. So when you put it in, it's gonna be like a regular pie, like a regular like a pie filling. Okay. So I'm just gonna mix that together, and then as soon as these berries come up to heat over here, like I got them warming up, then we'll just put that into our tarts when they come out. Okay. All right. So let me get some of this stuff out of the way, and we'll start in on our cookie dough while we're letting that cook. Okay. Now, the one good thing about the cookie dough is it doesn't have to do anything as far as being cooked. It's just going to be something we're going to mix up in the food processor. Okay. So as I said, our ingredients for that is just a can of garbanzo beans or chickpeas, whatever you want to call them. And I've taken them and I've drained them off. And then to make sure that I don't have a whole lot of extra moisture in here, I just took a paper towel and just dabbed it through here and dried these off really good. Okay. So I'm going to pull my food processor over here, and I'm going to start off by dumping my chickpeas. The berries are already starting to sing to me over there, so they're getting done. So I'm going to put my chickpeas in there, and then I'm going to stir my berries real quick. All right, those are already starting to melt down, so I'm going to go ahead and put my mixture in here, if y'all can see me doing this. Okay, put my cornstarch and my sugar in there, and then I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit and let these set and simmer until that cornstarch thicken up that juice off of these berries, and we'll have the fillings for our tarts. So we can just let them sit there and do their thing. All right, so we're going to measure out. I've just got some creamy peanut butter, and we're going to have a half a cup of that. Just a regular half a cup. Now, if you have a peanut butter allergy or something like that in your family, you could always do this. You could use like the soy-based peanut butters. I think I have one called Wow Butter. It would be the same flavor of this, so you could use that instead. I'm just going to put that into my food processor bowl here. All right, so there's that. Get all that good peanut butter yumminess in there. Can't let that go to waste. And then a third cup, it says for maple syrup or honey, and I always use honey. I'm not a big maple syrup fan. Now, probably the best thing to do to make sure that your honey doesn't stick to your measuring cup real bad, I always spritz it with just a little bit over the sink of cooking spray. That way it'll pour out just a little easier. You don't have to worry about scraping it out so much, because we all know the honey and maple syrup clings to everything it touches and gets everything sticky, right? And I'm doing a no-no here. I'm measuring this over top of the bowl, which I always tell you not to do, but you know what? I'm not going to spill honey like that, right? See how that runs right out of there with that coming right out. Didn't even have to worry about scraping it out too much. Lost my spoon. Get that last little bit out of there. All right, so there's that. And then we're going to put in a teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so there's my vanilla in there. And a pinch of salt, which I'm not going to put in there because we really don't need it in there. You got salt in your peanut butter. Okay, hold your ears. I'm going to turn this thing on. Okay, you might take a spatula and move everything down in there a little bit. Get everything worked down because we want this to mix together really well. You want to make sure you get that peanut butter and that honey all through there, because, you know, garbanzo beans by nature are just not very sweet. So to make this a cookie dough, we're really going to have to make sure we get everything mixed together well. Now you don't put your chocolate chips in there because if you did, they'd be nothing but mush. So we put them in after everything's mixed together. Okay, I think one more time, turn it around, and we'll have it. Now you can do a couple things with this when you're done with it. You can make it into balls and put it in the freezer and make like little like the cookie dough ice cream. You can put it in the freezer and just eat it like little cookie bites that way. Or you can just eat it just as it is. I like it with just a little smeared on a graham cracker is really good. Okay, there we go. So let me grab a bowl here real quick. And we will just pull our blade up out of there. Oh, slippery with peanut butter. Just scrape that off of there. Wipe my hands off. I got peanut butter everywhere. And I'm just going to take this all out of my bowl. See, it's just the same consistency as regular. Like if you go and buy the name brand cookie dough ice cream and the cookie dough you can get in the stores. I was looking at the difference between these, and the fat is a lot less in this because for one thing, the only fat is what's in the peanut butter. There's no additional, shortenings or anything like that in this. So you're just getting the fat from the peanut butter. There's nothing from the beans because it's a plant-based. Well, there might be a little fat in there, but not enough to make it much of a difference. And then the piece de la resistance here, we're going to put a half a cup of chocolate chips in there. And we're just going to stir this together. And then, as I said, you can take this by like 2 tablespoon scoops, lay it out on a piece of parchment paper and pop them in the freezer, and you got some really nice frozen treats. Or you can take it just like it is and put it on a graham cracker, and you've got some really nice cookie dough there, guys. And it's full of protein because the garbanzo beans are a bean, which is a good source of protein. You got the protein out of the peanut butter. It is mostly natural sugars because you're using honey, so you don't have to worry about all the extra added sugars in there. But you will want to put that in the refrigerator for just a little bit to get it kind of thickened up some. So let me wipe off my counter here. I'm pretty sure my berries are all nice and thickened up here. You can see the nice syrup there coming off of them. All right. And let me grab a pot holder and pull out my tarts. Oh, those are pretty. Look how pretty those browned up there, guys. And then we're just going to take our berry mixture and we're going to spoon this down into these cups. Now, until they cool, the liquid's going to be pretty thick on them, or thin on them. But once these cool, it's going to be just like a pie filling. How I guess that nice, thick glaze when they cool down. And you have just about enough berries to do 5 little tarts. Now, the reason you want to cut the slits in there, like I said, if you put a hole in the bottom of these, all these good juices are going to run out into your muffin tin, so you're not going to have all that juice staying in inside of your tarts. So you want to make sure that you're using the slits. And of course, I just dropped everything on the side of the tin there. That was a little warm. I probably could have got by with the 6th one there too. All right, guys. These are really pretty. and they make a really nice. These would make a nice summer dessert. I can just imagine sitting out on the patio and having these on a cool evening, maybe with some little bit of frozen yogurt dipped on top of them, or just maybe a little dollop of yogurt itself on top of it to pretty them up a little bit, and a sprig of mint. Wouldn't that be pretty, sitting out on the patio, eating your fruit tarts? Okay, so there we go. We got 2 nice healthy snacks that went together in about 15 minutes. No problem at all doing that. And you're not going to have any of the trans fats in there. So it's going to be a lot better for your cholesterol. You're getting a good serving of fruit in the tart. You're getting a lot of protein with the cookie dough. Can't beat that. All right, Kathy.
All right. I just wanted to ask a question about the cookie dough.
Sure.
Does it really taste like cookie dough? I mean, really?
Yes, it does.
It does?
Yes. The peanut butter is just enough that it overpowers the taste of the beans, and you don't even taste the beans in there at all.
Well, I like beans, but I don't know that I would like them as a cookie dough.
Right. Well, it really, I'm not lying to you. It tastes like peanut butter cookie dough.
Okay. I will have to try that because, yeah.
I'm going to take this now. I'm going to put it. I've got a little scooper thing, and I'm going to put it on a piece of parchment paper on a cookie sheet. And I usually do it about 2 tablespoon balls. Stick them in the freezer, and then you can take them out and then just throw them in a baggie or a container and keep them in the freezer. And you can pull out a couple at a time, and you got your frozen cookie dough right there. The kids love it.
Oh, yeah,
the big kids, sure. Especially the big kids. So yeah, it's a really great. And like I said, you don't have the only fat that is in there is what's in that a quarter cup of peanut butter, half cup peanut butter. So it's really good if you're watching your cholesterol. And I did say the only sugar in there was what was in the honey. Well, I lied. There is sugar in the chocolate chips.
Yes.
But chocolate doesn't have any bad things in it, right?
No, it's really healthy for you. Really?
Yes, it is. Yeah. It really is. Or you could use
in moderation.
The carob, but yeah. You could use the carob chips if you would want to. You find those that has like the dark chocolate flavor to them, and you wouldn't have nearly the sugar or anything that way. But yeah, I'm telling you, just like cookie dough. I've made this before, and this won't last long around here.
Okay.
It goes quick.
Well, that's good.
Okay, well, I hope everybody tries them, and let me know. Put it in the chat. Send me questions if you have them, and enjoy, because I'm going to.
Yes. All right, Johnna. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
I'll be here. Take care. Thanks,
All
Kathy.
right, you too.